had a pretty sad childhood. My dad left before I was born, and my mom was addicted to drugs from the first day she brought me home. She reverted back to her party lifestyle, and the first 5 years of my life were filled with binge drinking where I walked in opium-fueled smoke. The smoky air wafted down the hall and under my bedroom door and lingered for days after. My mom wasn't a bad person. She was just a victim of her addiction. When she had spare cash, she would buy food for the house and even sometimes buy me clothes if I behaved well. The only furniture I have in my room is a box spring and a mattress and 2 little blue and white toy boxes. I don't have a lot of toys to put in it. I have a total of 3 toys that I got for my birthday. One is a coloring kit set, and the other is a red wheelbarrow, and the last one, my pride and joy, is a doll named Betsy. Betsy is my best friend. We always have imaginary tea parties together, sleep together, take baths together, and, on occasion, I could swear I even remember her talking to me. Remembering these things as an adult led me to believe that I was a deeply traumatized child who frequently snorted opium and other drugs. My memory is hazy, but I swear I remember her voice and the things she wants me to do. Stole food for her, brought her a fork and knife, hitting a bad guy who was sleeping on our sofa. Always a bad thing that gets me into trouble. I blamed Betsy, but my mom would never believe me. Adults would never believe it. Around my 6th birthday, I asked my mom for a birthday party. I have dreams about inviting bad girls from school, serving them cakes, making them like me. I still remember standing in the kitchen with high hopes with the glass bottle of shaken soda in my hand as I held my breath and waited for her response. She turned to me and laughed.
A birthday party? Laura, that sounds stupid. I can't afford to feed 15 other kids that aren't even mine. I can barely feed you. You eat like an elephant. Or should I say Betsy did? I can hardly find anything to eat around here.
My face turned downwards as she shook her head, muttered something and left. I heard music in the living room as strangers entered the door. Some people leave, some people stay. I don't know any of them. My mom throws parties for her friends and strangers all the time. I was a kid, all my friends had birthday parties, and now the naughty kids at school would know that I was too poor to have birthday parties, and they would make fun of me more. I felt my tears welling up, and I ran into my room and slammed the door. Betsy was lying on the bed and smiling. She always smiles, how could I forget? Just look at me, smile. She will tell me to do something bad, like stealing food. It was her fault. And in my 5-year-old little brain, I truly believed that it was a doll, not my mother, that was the source of all my woes. I stood up and threw the bottle as hard as I could onto the bed. The bottle hit Betsy and she fell to the floor. I dragged her into the bathroom and threw her into the bathtub where there was always water because the drain was clogged. Of course, she didn't fight back while she was in the water, but it made me feel good. When I finished pouring out my anger and disdain for my favorite toy, I threw her into the toy box and closed it tightly. I don't want to see Betsy again. And then I kicked the box against the wall. I never had another doll after that. About a week later, the police came and 2 nice women took me to live in a new house in a new country, with food and toys and no drugs. My toy box was put into storage and my cart disappeared. I never saw my mother again. When I was growing up, my adoptive parents admitted that my mother was in prison with a prison term of 25 years. I don't feel anything for her. I still have nightmares because of the life she has given me. I also focused on doing well at school and ignored her calls from prison. She called me several times when I was a teenager, but I always ignored the calls. And so it was, until this morning. I am 30 years old now, with my children and a husband who loves me very much. I have a beautiful house, 2 dogs, and a career as a social worker trying to make a change for my children from a dark childhood. So when I got a voicemail from my mom letting me know she had been released and wanted to talk to me, I felt strong enough to let her speak in peace. Since the kids came home from school, I went to our shed in the backyard to return to Mom's phone. The barn was the children's area, and they went there to play in the summer. I sat down on my old toy box that now served as the tea party table and dialed the number she had given me. When she picked up the phone, I could hear her voice, so happy to be talking to me after so long. She wants to apologize for everything, regret all the things she did to me in the past. Then, she asked my permission to meet my children. However, I refused. And quickly she realized the reason why I did not want to meet her with them. But suddenly, she started crying and apologized about Betsy. I'm confused. Why does she care so much about Betsy? She kept crying, calling out Betsy's name. Then I told her that I know where Betsy is. She was in the same place for 30 years. Yes, Betsy was in my toy box all along. Then, my mom said something that shocked me. She said that what was in my toy box was not a doll, but my little sister. I refused to believe. I think she said like that because she was under the influence of drugs. Betsy is a doll. My mom tried to convince me. She said that she was arrested not because of drugs, but because of Betsy's disappearance. She also said that when I was little, I always called my sister my little doll. I put the phone next to me and stood up. I could hear the distant sound of my mother's sobbing. I can feel the dark grip of pain in my own box. Memories raced to the back of my mind, threatening to come flooding back, pushing hard on the door inside my head that had been tightly shut for years. Could trauma and drugs really lead me to believe that a child is actually a doll? Asking for food, asking for utensils to eat, asking me to protect her from bad people. I slowly turned around and stared at the box. Of course, it is very small. You can't put someone in it. You can't do it. But what about a very small, hungry, and emaciated child? How about her? If I was an investigator looking for a child, I would never think of looking in this box. The box is very small. I knelt down and unclasped the box. It's better not to look. After everything I've dealt with, this new life I've got, everything can disappear by opening the toy box. I don't have to open this. I should just throw this in the trash and forget it ever existed. I don't need to look into it. And I opened the box. I've never owned a doll. My mom never bought me one. I begged her, but she couldn't afford it. I also never owned a pull cart. But I do have a toy box. Beautiful blue and white toy box. And when I was 5, I drowned my 2-year-old sister and put her in that box. And now my life is over.